Yes, sir, we're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Marvel Legends Sasquatch Build-A-Figure Wave Paladin figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
8 figures per case, 2 red Deadpools per case, 6 figures you need to complete the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure. There is no Build-A-Figure part with Red Pool. Alright, taking a look at Paladin out of the package, and definitely not the breakout star in this wave, but not a terrible figure. The character is sort of like a C or a D lister, but I don't have any qualms with that. I'm okay when Marvel Legends puts out obscure characters. It helps to still build your entire Marvel Universe in 6-inch form. So I'm just going over his bio on the back of the package. It reads, Paladin is a mercenary marksman who always has his eye on the bottom line. So this character's been around for quite some time. I believe his first appearance was in a Daredevil comic. I want to say 150 when I looked it up. This is not something that I knew just off the top of my head, but one of the most recent appearances that I can remember for Paladin was part of Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts team. After Norman Osborn formed the Dark Avengers and took his like A-listers from the Thunderbolts over to Dark Avengers, he formed another assassin squad of Thunderbolts, and Paladin was part of that team, as was Ghost and Scourge and Blonde Black Widow, who actually turned out to be the regular Black Widow acting as the blonde Black Widow, if I'm not mistaken, and Mr. X and a couple of other C and D list assassin characters made up that team. So maybe Hasbro's going for that, because this particular look right here is pretty much how he looked when he was on that team. He's packed in with the right leg to complete the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure. And then he comes with a couple of guns here. These look to be the same guns that we received with the Shield Agent from Hasbro, and a couple of other figures. I think it came with Baron Zemo or Red Skull. Quite a few figures have come with these guns, but I think this is the first time that I've seen them painted gold. Other than that, not really any shading or detail on anything on these. Hasbro refuses to put any real details on guns to make them look realistic. I don't know if that's sort of Disney influence or what, but these pretty much look like crap. He's got the 2 guns, but he's got one holster, so he can holster one of these. Let's see how that looks. And it's not really as secure as I would like, but you know, I wouldn't use these guns with him anyway. I probably opt for something that looks a little more realistic and a little better, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just figure out what can actually fit in that holster and have a more snug fit, but there's that. And then he also comes with this knife, which is also gold for whatever reason. I don't know why they did that. I guess they just wanted everything to match up correctly. They wanted him to look stylish as he goes on his missions to kill people. But this is the same knife that we received with quite a few figures from Hasbro as well. I think the first one that we got it with was maybe Bucky Cap. But he does have a little sheath here on the boot that he can sheath his knife in. So let's try that. And that's cool. That fits in there with no issue. Definitely a more snug fit than the gun. You see the gun just keeps falling out. So again, I got to find a different gun that'll fit in there and have a more snug fit. And just taking a look at his deco, like I said, I do believe this is very accurate to how he looked during his run with the Thunderbolts. This was some years back. And obviously this vest here is supposed to be like a bulletproof vest. It's my understanding that his helmet, his vest, certain portions of this special suit that he wears is bulletproof and can help him withstand impacts and different things like that. He does have some very low level superhuman abilities. It says that he has just above, I guess, regular human levels of strength and durability and flexibility and all of that good stuff. So not really super strong, but definitely quite a bit stronger than the average human. And he's a marksman. He's proficient in all different types of weaponry, and he definitely knows martial arts and all of those different things. So just a typical kind of mercenary. He's not really listed as villain per se, but It says that because of his activity as a mercenary, he often clashes with the heroes. But I do think the deco here looks good. You may see some parts that you are familiar with. Looks like the lower legs are the same ones they used on Scourge, which is interesting because Scourge was part of that Thunderbolts team. And for some reason, I believe Paladin goes as Scourge sometimes with one of his AKAs, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it looks like these boots, or this part of the boots, are different. Maybe these gauntlets are different. But quite a few reused parts. Obviously, the head is different, but it looks good. No real paint imperfections and no issues here. And like I said, it does seem pretty accurate to the comic book. So I don't really have too many gripes here. I see some small little paint imperfections here on the helmet, but other than that, it's a pretty clean figure. And going over his articulation real quick, the head is on a ball joint. The head does pop off. There's no issue removing the head. So if you were able to find some kind of unmasked option, then you know that will work. His head will look up pretty far, turn left to right, do a full 360. He's got a little bit of pivot on there. The shoulders are on a ball joint. They're going to come up pretty far. They're not hindered by the vest. You can do a full 360, upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, not really hindered by his gauntlet here on his forearm, swivel and a hinge on the wrist. You get a decent ab crunch going forward, couple clicks going back, waist articulation, T-joint at the pelvis. The legs will come up just about that far. Split will look like that. Upper thigh swivel. It's not hindered by his holster here on the left leg. You get a double jointed knee. You get rotation at the upper boot. You get a hinge and a pivot on the foot. And like I mentioned, these do seem to be the same legs that we got on Scourge and on Blade, but I think that this version of the lower torso is the better one, where the butt is not cut really weird and he's not looking weird how Blade looked when you kind of tried to stand him upright. So decent articulation here for the mercenary Paladin. And a few quick size comparisons. You can see him next to Deadpool from the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure wave on the left and Scourge on the right. And it looks like they do share the same legs, at least from the pelvis down to about the boot. Like I said, Paladin's boots are a little different. You can see Scourge's boots or his feet are very small. That was one of my gripes with this figure. Same thing with the Blade figure. But it looks like their holsters are different. And obviously the upper torso is different. Paladin's is definitely a little bit larger. And there he is next to Bullseye from the Man-Thing Build-A-Figure wave on the left. And like I had mentioned, Bullseye had graduated to the big leagues. He had joined the Dark Avengers when Paladin became a part of Norman's secret sort of assassin Thunderbolt squad. And one of his team members on that squad on the right, this is the STCC Thunderbolts box set Ghost figure. This is one that a lot of people are still after. I think probably one that should get a redo, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I guess they look about the right size. One of the other people that were on the team with him during that Thunderbolts run was Eric O'Grady, Ant-Man. And I'd like to see them maybe try out that version of Ant-Man with that costume that he sported during that time with the Thunderbolts. That might be cool. And pretty random, but here he is next to the Okoye Build-A-Figure on the left. I want to get him stacked up next to a female. And on the right, the larger Hydra dude from the Hydra 2-pack. And I wanted to get him stacked up next to this larger buck because I feel like Headsman or Scourge, either one of those dudes that were on the team with him, were probably about this size. So like I said, definitely not one of the stars of the wave, but not a bad figure at all. Decent job from Hasbro here, and you're definitely going to need to pick this guy up if you want to complete the Sasquatch Build-A-Figure. Alright, moving right along, I think we're going to be doing Domino next, so stay tuned for that. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, peace.